Happy Hoarder here, and I'm so excited to be participating in Heidi Sonnenball's DIY Challenge Fall 2021. I'm sure you all adore cottage core decor, but mine's more like cottage gore decor. Most of the materials I'll be using for these DIY projects are from a thrift store. I always say if God meant for me to have it, I'd find it at Rolling Hills, which is my favorite thrift store. I found the cutest little carved wood cat that I thought would be perfect for Halloween, and this broken angel figurine. And this little jack-o'-lantern bobblehead that's just adorable. And how about this beautiful jar? It's great for another project I'd been working on. And this vintage dome glass that I have had for years and years. And I ordered all these tiny little eyes off of eBay. And this vintage shadow box that I found. I actually have two, but you'll see the other one later in the video. I'll also be adding some dead fairies that I made earlier this year. And you can watch my video on how I made them using skeletons and butterfly wings I got at the Dollar Tree. And of course, art supplies. Don't feel like you have to use the same ones I did, because something tells me if you are watching these videos, then you probably have a lot of art supplies of your own. I used a combination of reds to get the orange that I want. I'm not actually using orange because I like to mix my own yellow in and mix my own oranges. I like to use a variety of colors like that because I think it gives the things I paint a little bit more depth. I'm also using some colors like flat black and a gloss black, all of which I thrifted recently. So as you see, I've incorporated a lot of different colors that I'll be using, and I do mix a lot of colors when I'm working. I decided to use this gloss paint instead of just painting something over with a gloss finish. And then here's a purple glaze because I didn't have any purple, so I actually had to mix that with the white to get some purple. I know, my colors are crazy. And then I have a really cool moss green. I was actually just using that to touch up some plates, but that's another story. Sorry folks, I don't go out and buy all new paints for these projects. I just grab what I have. And then my yellow, which I've all but used up. I hang on to paint forever, but that should give you an idea what a frugal artist I am. I'm also using Mod Podge, both matte and gloss. I have a lot of brushes, but I only grabbed a few out of my studio for this little project. And some of these were actually used in my Dead Fairies video. So, back to that. I've worn this little brush out in all the little projects I've been doing with it lately. But basically, I felt like I needed a thin brush and a thick brush to do some of the wash. Thin brush for more details. And then I also picked up some drawing pencils. And these are a charcoal drawing pencil. And I'm going to show you a little technique that I use those for in a little bit. So I picked up browns, a couple of browns that I had, and of course the soft black. Another project I've been working on in my kitchen, since the lighting is not as good in my studio, but it is much better for filming in my kitchen. I had all these materials out for that, and this is one of my favorite things, is my woodless charcoal pencils, except I dropped mine, and now I have two. And this little brush is just a bristle brush that I use for smoothing out my charcoal. What I like to do, especially on this Halloween decor, or something that makes it look a little bit more old and distressed, is to go around my colored shapes with charcoal and then do a little distress work around there with a brush. I do have examples of this technique in my scarecrow video, and I do hope you go back and check that out. Right now, we're going to move on to our new projects. First of all, the jack-o'-lantern bobblehead. He was just adorable to start off with, but I just thought he just needed something extra. So I gave him some pops of color on his bow tie and his vest. He was just screaming for a purple vest, and those yellow eyes made all the difference. And that just goes to show you how adding your own touch makes something a little bit more personal and a lot more fun. My next project was the carved wood cat. And he's adorable, but he did have some scuffs on him, so he needed a repaint. So I added some whiskers and those crazy glass eyes, and I painted him with the gloss black. Not sure I'm loving the gloss black because it definitely shows a lot of the mistakes I made. But I still like him shiny, and he does serve a great purpose for later on. Now we get to have some fun with some dead fairies and how to display them. So recently I had a table setting called the Gathering of Scientific Minds. I just love that table, and I made a bunch of fairies to go on it. I was at the Dollar Tree the other day, and they do have the little skeletons out, but good luck finding those butterflies because I know the one in Ruston's out because I bought them all. But I've seen some great tutorials on YouTube on how to make your own fairy wings. Anyway, it's easy peasy. You just glue them together with a hot glue gun. Worked for me. Of course, I've always got to kick it up a notch, and finding that jar at the Rolling Hills Ministry thrift store was perfect for me. So I put one of my fairies in the jar. That is the saddest looking fairy, just pleading to get out. How sad is that? I also found a couple of shadow boxes out in my barn, And I thought these would be great to put some fairies in. Now when I took this one apart, it was kind of nasty on the inside, but I brushed it off and I thought, you know what, this kind of works. And I think this old burlap looks perfect with this dead fairy. Now I was telling you about my second shadow box. This is a print that I found on Pinterest and I just loved it. So I printed it out and for some reason my printer didn't pick up some of the details, but that's fine because I just took my pencils and I drew some in all by myself. And I think I made mine look a lot more like fairies, but this made the perfect backdrop for my other fairy. Now this one is a little bit different than some of the other ones I have because it's a different skeleton, but it turned out really cool. And here's the big group of my fairies. I don't know what you call a group of fairies. I should look that up. But those were fun to make. And now for my favorite. I was so fortunate to find this beautiful figurine that was broken. And I am so glad whoever donated it saw its potential because I sure did. I'm just one of those people who love to take photos of cemetery angels. And in the case of the Grace Episcopal Church in St. Francisville, Louisiana, it has the most fabulous angels. There's a lot of live oaks there, so all the angels and all the tombstones are just covered with a lot of lichen and mold, and they're just incredible. The Grace Episcopal Cemetery in St. Francisville is one of the few places where Union and Confederate officers were buried together. And every June, Hart's funeral is celebrated in St. Francisville with a festival titled The Day the War Stopped. St. Francisville is also the home of the Myrtles, a haunted plantation, so it is a great place to visit. So you can see why I was inspired to create a cemetery angel of my own. I just think they're beautiful. And the first thing I did was do a black and white wash over it. But then I got a little bit more creative. If you're familiar with doing washes, then you know it's a lot of adding and subtracting. After I did the black and white and let that dry, that would have been a really good time to seal it. But I decided to add some more greens and browns and other colors. And then I took apart this little vintage music box. And I used some of the flowers in it to put around the base. It wasn't playing very well, and I was not able to put the angel on top of the spinning thing because she was too heavy. Some other touch-ups included kind of dialing down some of the color on the dried flowers with some browns. I sprayed her with flat paint, but then I added some gloss to the foliage. I cleaned the glass dome and cut my finger doing so, and then I glued it back with E6000, not my finger, the dome. My favorite parts about decorating is lighting it all up with candlelight, and this is something that I put together in my foyer. Now, I would not intended on putting everything together for a display, but I thought it worked really cute for this video. Most of the items that I have on my table are thrifted or DIY projects. I hadn't designed all of these things to originally go together. They all have their special places in my home, but for this video, I thought I'd group them together. But keep watching because I'll show you where they really go at the end of the video. My skull Bruce hates to be left out of a vignette, so of course I needed to fix him up a little special place on this table with a cemetery angel. I thought that looked pretty good. But who I really wanted to display with my cemetery angel was Adelaide, the gothic bride that I made recently for a video on Dolls Gone Goth Wedding. You'll have to check that one out as well. But what I really want my jack-o'-lantern bobblehead and my little black cat to go with are my House of Hatton Witches designed by Dee Gann. I love those little ladies, and they'll be coming out closer to Halloween. But for now, Silas is just going to have to fill in for them. Silas is one of my gothic guys. He's actually a little boy under that scarecrow mask, and he's just adorable. And you'll have to check out his video coming soon. Thank you for watching, and please hit like and subscribe if you haven't. And hey, hit that notification button because sometimes I make really good videos. Bye!